Joining us today for our Getting Started with PDF Forms session, we have two folks from Adobe Systems. The first is the AUC site's founding member, Lori DeFurio. Lori's a group product marketing manager at Adobe and a tireless advocate of all things Acrobat. Second, we have Rebecca Staley. Rebecca is the community manager for Acrobat.com and helps folks with all our Acrobat services. So Lori, over to you.
Hey Lori, so I fell out of the meeting. Can you please promote me again?
Sure.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you're coming in from. I'm actually joining you today from very sunny San Jose, California, as opposed to upstate New York, where it's snowing and cold. And I'm just really happy to be here. Now, the first thing I want to mention as I start to go ahead and share my screen is you'll notice in the lower left-hand corner, there's actually a file share pod called Getting Started with Forms. And in there are some files if you want to download them. These are the files I'm going to use as I demonstrate forms to you today, and you're welcome to follow along with me. I am using Acrobat 10. I know a lot of you are on 9. It's a similar what I'm doing. The UI is a little bit different, but the steps pretty much follow the same. And then the second file there, the one that's a little bit larger, is actually the slides that myself and Rebecca are presenting today, so that you'll have a local copy if you want to follow along as well. So I'll keep that file share pod up the entire time, so if you do need to grab them or you want to follow along with me, feel free to go ahead. I want to start with a story that's a little bit, you may have, if you're a long-time Acrobat person, you'll say, hey, Lori, I think you showed me that slide about 4 years ago. But the thing I wanted to mention is that forms really, have this evolutionary path, right? Paper forms is what we had for years and years, and then we started putting them online. So people would just take them and they'd scan them or take an electronic version, just kind of throw it up online, but you still had to print it out and then fill it in. The big problem with that is there's a lot of errors because people may not fill it in correctly, or there's chicken scratch and you can't read what they wrote, and so on. So kind of phase 2 is make it fillable. Oh, great. So all of a sudden I've got a fillable form online, but then I got to print it out and mail it in or drop it off. And again, that sometimes requires the rekeying, and that's a chance for more errors to come in and be more costly. And really where we are today, and this is really, I like to call utopia, whatever, is you're filling and submitting electronically. And that's exactly what both the things that Rebecca and I are going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about using Acrobat to make fillable PDF forms, and then Rebecca's going to talk about using FormsCentral to create online fillable forms. But that's really what the crux of it is, to be able to fill and submit electronically, get that paper-based part out of the way. So what I want to do is I'm going to walk you through what you need to do from an Acrobat point of view. If you
Lori,
yes?
Lori, is it possible for you to turn up your audio just a little bit? We're getting a lot of requests from the participants.
How about if I sit a little closer? How's that?
That sounds very good.
Okay, sorry, I was leaning back in the chair. Okay, so what you need as a person to build fillable PDF forms is a box of Acrobat, whether it's Acrobat Standard, Acrobat Pro, or introduced new in Acrobat 10 as the Acrobat Suite. I know a lot of you guys had Acrobat 9. Again, Acrobat 9 Standard, Acrobat 9 Pro, Acrobat 9 Pro Extended. All three of them do exactly what I'm going through today, Mac and Windows. So there's no difference from what I'm going to show you on either platform. You want to go ahead and make a fillable form with a submit button. And the reason there's an asterisk there is I'm going to show you how Acrobat, both 9 and 10, automatically add the submit button. But if you're going to do some of this stuff manually, you'll need to put your own submit button on, and we'll do that together in a moment. And then you need an email account, because Acrobat uses email to kind of help you still, shift things around, and basically an internet connection. Your recipient, the people you're sending the form to fill out, they only need Adobe Reader. Now again, the reason there's an asterisk there is it depends on which method of distribution you use, which version of Reader. For example, I'm going to demonstrate to you today using Acrobat.com service as a way to distribute the form and collect all the responses. You'll need Reader 9 or 10. That's just the bottom line. If you want to say, look, I'm going to do this manually, I want to collect everything in my email box, it'll work all the way back to Reader 7. So it really just depends on which methodology you pick. But basically, by using the Acrobat built-in workflow of distribute, you can automatically add the Reader user to the party who can fill, print, save, submit, the whole 9 yards. And all they need is an email account and an internet connection. So I look at this as a checklist of things that you have to do to get your job done. We're going to create a fillable form. We're going to figure out how to add intelligence. Now, I could spend a whole day talking about that, so I'm just going to give you a couple examples. But allow things like simplify. Let's create a drop-down instead of letting them manually type in something. Or let's do some calculations automatically so that there's no errors in the form. We're going to distribute it and ensure that the Adobe Reader can join the party, right? That's really important. We want to track it. Who's filled it out? Who hasn't filled it out? How can I prompt or gently remind the people that haven't filled it out that I need to get the information back? And then the reason we do forms in the first place is to collect some data. So how do we collect the data? How do we analyze it? And how can we reuse it? And I'm going to talk about the responses file, and I'm going to talk about exporting to Excel. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is create a fillable form. Now I'm going to jump out of Acrobat, and I'm going to go to my desktop. And I just want to show you first what the end state is going to look like when we're all done today, okay, what this form looks like. And I want to just get it to open here. Give it a second. Okay, it's a one-page form we're going to make. We're going to add a couple of buttons by hand because I want to show you how to do that. We're going to make it fillable. And we'll do some of the calculations, but we won't do the whole thing together because we don't have